I am Aniyia Williams, and I'm a principal on the Responsible Technology team at Omidyar Network.
My name's Ahmad Thomas. I'm the CEO of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group.
My name's Matt Regan. I am Senior Vice President of Public Policy at the Bay Area Council.
I'm Ravi Karra, and I'm an expert in investments with over 40 years experience in the field.
With such a strong and robust and large economy, I think that we have a lot of influence and a lot that we can do at the institutional investing level. One of the things that I think about a lot is how we can start to really invest in emerging fund managers that are from diverse backgrounds. I think that we want to make sure that we are reaching more networks that investment and innovation can happen in. And a lot of that comes through making sure that there are people who have funds and can make those investments that are a part of or have a deep connection to those communities where innovation is taking place.
California is perhaps the most innovative and dynamic place in the world. If you go back to when the gold rush and even previously, it's a place where adventurers and entrepreneurs and risk takers come. People, when ships crossed the Atlantic and landed in New York, the people who were escaping from things stayed. The people who were seeking things came to California.
I think what makes California unique, particularly at this time, given our leadership, is a focus on an economy that helps everyone, a focus on a California that is inclusive and values diversity. And I think as we look at regulatory postures, as we look at the scope of how public policy impacts our communities, that is something that makes California special.
With the very, very large and strong economy that we have here in California, there is an opportunity for some of our larger institutions, which make very large investments, to think about ways that we can diversify the types of funds and emerging fund managers that are getting that investment. So I think being able to diversify that with more people that have different connections and different networks into new opportunities will allow innovation to take flight.
The promise of California is not merely its size and scale. Being large is often little more than a novelty. The real promise of California is in its vibrancy, its creativity, and in its innovation.
One of the missing pieces of the change that we want to see and the change actually happening is infrastructure. In my own experience, building communities and being a part of a movement to create more ethical, sustainable innovation, especially in the tech space, there tends to be a layer of organizations, which we call in my world entrepreneur support organizations of that type, where folks go to get support, they go to get information, they go to get access to investors and to learn how to pitch investors, to learn what their options are. I think whatever California can do to strengthen its relationship with the people that are forming this infrastructure between where the sort of resources are and the opportunities are and the people who are coming to look for those things will strengthen California's position and economy overall.
Collaboration is key here. Collaborating with innovators, partnering with those who know how to scale companies, those who understand our innovation economy. I think that is key to sound regulatory policy and approaches. Looking at the private sector, I think there are a lot of models to consider that can help inform regulators, help inform decision makers to make very sound policy decisions. I think having a relationship that is collaborative, one that's founded on trust and an exchange of ideas, I think that's very important. The private sector, certainly the pace at which things move often outpaces what we see in government in terms of regulatory responses. So where there's proactive communication, where there is proactive stakeholder management, I think regulators can be best positioned to not only be well informed, but to make choices that don't stifle innovation, but take marketplaces and help harness the best of our entrepreneurs and our talent here in the Golden State.
I think the best regulators are the ones who spend more time listening than anything else, listening to the stakeholder communities that they seek to serve, that they seek to benefit, and also the stakeholder communities that they seek to regulate. So I think regulators have a responsibility to spend an awful lot of time considering the consequences of the rules that they make, so that at the end of the day, those rules benefit all of us.
It is vital to think in terms of ineffective or effective regulation and not too much or too little regulation. Said differently, an absence or lack of regulation does not lead to better economic outcomes. In fact, it is quite often not the case. An excellent example is our securities markets. These markets function best on a framework of sound, consistent regulation backed by efficient enforcement that ensures that market participants can trade freely without the danger of being cheated.
It is certainly our hope that our regulatory, the bodies of agencies can find it within themselves to look beyond their narrow scope, their narrow focus of regulation, so that they're not having adverse impacts on other parts of people's lives and other parts of the state.
We have, for example, revenue-based investing. We also have different kinds of loan structures and also creating loans with loss reserves and other kinds of credit enhancements. I think being able to make it more accessible for startup founders to have lines of credit that can be offered to them in their growth stage, as well as for the folks that are very, very much at the beginning, more kinds of fellowships and forgivable loans that help them get from idea to launching and making their first dollars. I also believe that we can explore more in place-based investing at an ecosystem level, and also to explore other types of corporate structures that I think we can invest in with the types of instruments that we have available to us, like co-ops, as we see more people being interested in starting their companies with a shared ownership model.